delighted that we've got these two here. I'm going to start with Mike because he's first nearest to me. First of all, Mike, I know that you didn't ride in many matches, but you rode in 4 of them. You were very much part of the team and very much part of the scene in 1969.
Yeah, I think I was what they called at that time the official number 8, and I rode whenever anybody else was injured, or I think in those days as well, when they had rider replacement, they had to take an official number 8 with them, so I was often in that position. But yes, as you say, I only rode when somebody else was out.
It was memorable times though, wasn't it? Because it was a team that wasn't billed as having an out-and-out star. It was a team built on strength and durability throughout.
Yeah, definitely. And also there was a fantastic team spirit in that team as well, which I think made a big difference.
One of the people who was very significant, perhaps doesn't get enough credit, was the team manager, Ron Hart. And I know at the time everybody said he was a wily character. We need characters like that now, but he was something special, wasn't he?
Oh, he was, most definitely. As you say, he might not have appeared to be a good team manager as such, but he was a very wily character and certainly played a big part in it, I'm sure.
As far as you're concerned, do you have particular memories, and is it something that you regret now, having not gone on to bigger and better things perhaps in Speedway? You rode at Poole, you rode I think at Reading, and I think, do I remember correctly, you rode at Romford or Rochdale, Romford. So your career with the Pirates was short-lived in some respects, but they were your local club.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I enjoyed every minute of it, and to be involved that particular year was fantastic. And of course, we went on the tour of Poland at the end of the year, which put the icing on the cake, I think, really.
Some of the key figures in that team, Jeff Mudge, of course, still with us, but unfortunately all the way out in Australia. I know he's got great fond memories, very much love for Poole. He was very much a Poole man, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, very much so. And of course, in those days, riders didn't disappear every season to another club, and it was a much more solid, more continuity, so to speak.
And nobody could have been more loyal to Poole than Pete Smith. It's unfortunate he can't be with us tonight. I know he dearly wanted to be, and he's hoping that he'll be able to make it possibly at our next meeting. So I'm hoping that Pete will join us. But he was a one-club man, and that's so rare.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And as you say, he was unique, and he was Poole Speedway in those days, most definitely.
I'm going to lean across and give Ted a chance to speak. Ted was always the quiet man, I remember that very much. But Ted, you were still so much more part of that team. And it was, you'd ridden in 1968 during the difficult time of 1968, and then you experienced the joy of 69 as well.
Yeah, I've been practicing to have a few words on the mic, so I hope I can do it okay.
I'm sure you will. Tell us how you felt after the disappointment in 68 to go into a team. It was largely, I mean, there was 5 members of that team remained, so you still had a good unit, and the determination was there from the start of the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I had some very good advice from a friend of mine, Peter Vandenberg, who I believe you all know. He often gave me some wise words and showed me a few things. And the Knott family, the promoter, he was A1, helped us young boys.
You were young boys in those times, of course, even though I was even younger, so I looked up to you as being the grown-ups even then, but you still regard yourself as being the youngsters. And I will say a little bit about the Knotts, because they were a family who brought Speedway to Southampton. They moved it to here, to Poole, and they were great showmen. They loved the show, they loved their Speedway.
Yeah, we had great respect for Charlie. I actually was lucky enough, I lived about half a mile from his home in Southampton, and often went round for a cup of tea. That can be bad.
That can't be bad if your promoter invites you around for tea. You weren't doing a lot wrong, that's for sure. You also, of course, had a very successful business on the side of Speedway, Maximum Products. And was that something that you did whilst you were riding, or did that develop later?
Yeah, I was an engineer by trade. I was pretty good at some things, and I started making pieces for my own bike, and other people got curious and wanted things as well, and it just went worldwide, and it was fantastic.
Well, I remember Super Simo used to advertise Maximum products on the front of his bike, so it couldn't have been too bad.
Yeah, Super Simo, Malcolm, he was incredible, and he helped me tremendously with my business. And other riders, Phil Crump, Terry Betts, Anders Michenek, went worldwide. It was fantastic.
You could never have imagined it. In the end, I'm guessing that the business itself was more lucrative to you than the Speedway.
I no longer do this. I no longer do this business, but we still get asked for things, you know. Yeah.
People still remember.
I must tell you about this fella here. He often travelled with me to away matches, and I was very thankful because quite often I wasn't in a state to drive home. And we lived quite close together in Southampton. And one particular time at King's Lynn, I was in a bit of bad shape and anaesthetised on the way home. And from what I remember, he got me home and shoved me through the front window of my house. And I woke up the next day and I wondered how I'd got in through the window.
I can tell you Mike is nodding along to this. It's all true, and these are the things we find out about. I don't know what we'll find out in years to come about the likes of Jack Holder and Brady Kurtz, but these are the stories that things like this are made of. I'd love to get you guys together, and maybe during the winter we can get Pete and Bruce down and we'll get you back together and we'll try and put an evening together, which would be lovely. I think people would appreciate it.
I went to the Ice Speedway World Champion in Holland this year, and the first old rider that I bumped into literally was Bruce Cribb, and we had a good evening together, and I'm sad that he wasn't here tonight.
We are too. I know that we missed Bruce. He's been down a few times, and we've enjoyed having him here and hosting him. It's always a pleasure, and you two guys can be proud that you were part of the first team that brought a British League title to Poole. Since then, the Pirates, well, they've amassed a total of 10, so they're doing something right, but you were the first. So they'll never take that away from you, as they say. Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Laessing, Mike Vernam from 1969.
Joined by Mike Vernam here, one of the 1969 winning team here, just been out front. That's your 2 minutes, you're familiar with that. Just been on track. What is it like to be out there in front of a crowd again here at Poole Speedway?
I suppose it's a bit strange because it's different when you're in that situation, because when you're riding you don't actually look at the crowd as such because you're too busy doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Great times back in 1969, of course. Have you got a story on the road, if you like, that you can tell us?
The only one I can think of was that we went on tour of Poland at the end of the season as a result of winning the league, and as we went through Germany, it was in the days of the East and West, and the Russians were in East Germany, and as we crossed across the border through the neutral zone, so to speak, Jeff Mudge and I started to take photographs, and we immediately got arrested with a gun in our back. Luckily, this gentleman on the left of me saved us, but that was my memory of that year, certainly.
And well, okay.
Yeah, but it didn't help Matt as much as Mudgy was climbing up the fence, like pretending to be escaping, you know. And these two Russian geezers with AK guns, you know, soon put us, but they just got hold of his camera and went. That was the end of that.
Sounds like there was good times both on track and off track in 1969 then.
Yeah.
How good is
well, we're still lucky to be here talking to you.
I'd say great. It's a shame that Pete and Bruce couldn't make it tonight. They were going to make it, but unfortunately other things happened. Of course, the other three guys sadly passed. But very much well remembered.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're going to let you go. The meeting's just about to get started again. It's all happening here, but enjoy the rest of your night. It's great to see you guys.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks a lot.